Hi, grade 11s. I hope you are doing well on your side. Okay, so this was the activity we did in the mastery bootcamp. So as promised, I have decided to create a video for those that couldn't attend the session but want to benefit on the activity. Okay, let's just take a look at the information. So here it says that the information below relates to JK Takis. They produced and sold 1,000 pairs of basic sneakers in a week. Basic sneakers are sold at one 850 rand each. Okay, and then we're given information here. With the information here, we have the various cost as well as like the totals. So I have done this ahead of time, obviously, and just put in like the definers in terms of like making it easy for people to know how to identify which of those costs that have been given to us are variable cost and which of them are fixed cost. Okay, so if you start with the first one there, you have the direct material. So direct material, it's something that we don't buy a fixed quantity of it, which means that the prices are also not likely to be fixed. You get it? Fixed, we say that it's constant. Whether we produce more or we produce less, it will always be the same. You get it? But when it comes to things like direct material will depend on how many units we are producing. So that means it is a variable cost. Direct labor. These are the people that are in the factory and are directly involved in the production process. And since they are like permanent workers, basically, we just always assume that the direct labor will always be fixed unless obviously there are discrepancies there and there. Maybe someone resigns or we add more workers, but those they don't happen often. It will happen maybe once in a while. You get it? So that is why we say direct labor will be fixed. And then we have factory overheads. So overheads are always like everything else that is indirectly related to the production process. So indirect, all the indirect things. So the indirect things will always be classified as what? As um what is it? As variable. You get it? Because they depend on production. Think of electricity and water. If we don't produce anything on that month, it means what? It means that electricity and water will be less. You get it? And all the other things that are part and parcel of the factory. So this is the information. And then you have administrative cost or administration cost. So usually we will classify this ones as fixed cost. Yeah. And then obviously selling and distribution depend on the sales also and all of that. So we can classify this as a variable cost. So the questions that we are given or required to do here, we have to calculate the variable cost, calculate the fixed cost, calculate the break even point, which means that basically you're just going to be classifying them. So here you have your, I've already classified them. We have direct material of 15,000 plus the 50,000 of factory overheads. Okay, which means that if I'm calculating remember here, we're just calculating variable cost. And then if you add those two together, you should be able to get 65,000. And then if you want to get a variable cost per unit, then we will have to take that 65,000 and divide it by the number of units that have been produced, which gives us 65 rand. The units that have been produced, they did tell us that they produce 1,000 pairs of sneakers. So this means that our variable cost per unit will be 65 rand. And then now to do the calculations of the fixed cost. So the fixed cost here, it's going to be direct labor. As you can see, it's fixed plus the administration cost of 10,000 and 10,915. This then gives us this cost here. So, you add them together, we get 29,000. thousand rand 950. Okay, so this means that we have enough information to work out our break even point. So I have already worked it out here. So to get the break even point, you say our fixed cost divided by our contribution. So contribution, let me just do it like this, because you will find other past papers or maybe memos that say contribution divided by contribution. So contribution is made up of selling price minus variable cost per unit. Okay, selling price minus variable cost per unit. So let's put it into numbers so that you see it clearly. Okay, so the variable cost per unit was already calculated there at the top, and we got 65 rand, which means that our break even point here will be 29 rand, the fixed cost, divided by 850 minus 65 rand. I always advise learners that for you to get the proper answer, always start with get the bottom part of the fraction. So say 850 minus 65 rand, and whatever you're getting, then now you can say 29 rand 950 divided by whatever answer that you got at the bottom. It makes things so much easier. Okay, so our answer that we got there on like the calculators, we got 38.5 units. So it means that we need to produce at least 38.15 units. But when it comes to maths or being practical, it's impossible to produce 38.5 pairs of sneakers. You get it? It's like what happens to the other one. So we would have to round it up to get 39 units, since we just have to do what? If you round it up, then you get what? 39 units, which means that the business must produce 39 units in order for them to be in a position that they can break even. Okay, so that was it and the first part of the question, which is part one here, as you can see. Okay, so now let's move on to part two. Okay, so part two, okay, let me just sort this one out because this looks like, yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, let's look at part two. So part two is saying Seven Ocean manufacturer. Remember, these are two different questions. The other one, the one at the top that we're doing was for techies, JK Techies. This one is it produces scuba gear. So let's read. Seven Oceans manufacturer produces, yeah, supposed to be produces, produces and sells scuba gear. The business has a 35% markup. The information below relates to the financial year ending on the 30th of June 2022. Complete the partially completed ledger accounts in the answer book. Close off properly at the end of the year on 30 June 2022. Okay, so here we just have to do the work in progress, do the finished goods account, and then do the factory overheads. Okay, first thing first, I always advise learners that if you're given accounts in this manner, always start with the factory overheads account, and then as soon as you're done with the factory overhead account, then you're in a good position to move on to your work in progress, and then lastly your finished goods, because that's usually the last account. You get it? We can ask them in any order, so it's up to you to figure out that I have to start with my factory overhead. Okay. Okay, so this is the information that I'm given here. So I'm starting with my factory overhead. I'm going straight to my account. So obviously I have already put in the things that need to be there to save time in the video, because I want you to be spending more time watching the video. You get it? Where else you could just easily save time. Okay, so we'll start off with the information that has been given there. Let me see what we have been given. Okay, so it's just this one page. It's not a lot. It's doable. Okay, let's start with the first one here. So they say 60 units of scuba parts are used in the to manufacture the snorkels, were purchased on credit at 150 rand each. Okay, so it seems like based on the information, we're just going to be moving across accounts to make things easier. Okay, so here they're telling us already that there is what? This is direct material. Remember, we are producing scuba gear, and they're telling us that 60 units of scuba parts that are used to manufacture the snorkels were purchased on credit at 150 Rand each. So this is already a direct material. So if I say 60 times 150 Rand, I should be able to get the amount there for this snorkels. Okay, I'm gonna do the calculations on my side to make sure that I'm getting the correct figures. Okay, if you say 60 times 150. Okay, so I think I made a mistake here. Times 150. Then the answer should be 9,000 Rand. Okay, yeah, there's nothing else here, and they're saying it's on credit. So let's see. They did say here information. They say that there's more information. Okay, like this. They say the bookkeeper forgot to record an invoice for the raw material purchase, 30,000. A 25% trade discount was received on this transaction. So here it seems like we are sort of got like a discount for an invoice that was not recorded. So this 30,000, we paid 30,000. We were supposed to pay 30,000, but we got a discount of a 25%, as they say. So it means what? We actually paid 75% of the price that we're supposed to pay. Okay, let me repeat this again. So they say the bookkeeper forgot to record an invoice for the raw material purchase, 30,000. A 25% trade discount was received on this transaction. You get it? We got a discount for this transaction. We were supposed to pay the full price, but somehow we got a discount for it, which means that we will no longer pay the 30,000, but we paid a price that is less of the discount that we received. So if you say 30,000 multiplied by 75%, I always say that if it's percent, always make sure that you just say 75 divided by 100. You get it? Because when you people write 75 with the percentage sign, then when they put the numbers on the calculators, they tend to forget the percentage sign that also needs to be applicable in the calculators, and then people end up with big numbers. So please make sure that you avoid that, and yeah, just get the right numbers for that. Okay, so I am done with the direct material information, which means that now I'm in a good position to I'm just going to copy this and paste it on my answer book to save time. So I did say initially that I advise learners to start with the factory overhead account and then move on to the work in progress and then lastly finished goods. But with this case, the information is just all over. You get it. So this means that I'm just going to be following the information. Otherwise, I will just overuse my time just going through things. So direct material, and then I'm just pasting my answers from the other side. Okay, paste. Wow. Okay, okay. I'm just trying to find a way. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I see. This is what happened. Okay. Okay, so now I just need to sort this one out. Yeah. So on your side, I advise you to just put the numbers in calculators and see what you are getting on your calculator on your other side. Okay, because it's 9,000 rand plus 22,500. So you should be able to get the answer there. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because I'm just wasting time now just doing this. So we're adding 9,000 plus 22,500, and my answer here is 31,500. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it like this. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's continue with our work. Okay, so our next step now is to find out what goes after that information there that has been given to us. So I'm just going to go back, and then it's telling us here that the bookkeeper, okay, you're done with this one. Sorry for that. So I'm just going to highlight this as an indication that I've dealt with that because I don't want to confuse this work and think I haven't done it. Okay. So here that we are given information here. They say indirect material amount to 25,600. And then they're telling us that 1/3 of the indirect material we use in the factory. Okay. And then there's one more thing here. They say indirect material included 3,500 worth of materials bought for the next financial year. Okay, so these are amounts are directly related. So I'm going to use a different color because now I'm focusing on something that is related to the factory overhead. Remember, the factory overhead account records everything that is indirectly related to the factory. Okay, so here they're telling us that I'm just going to make space here to do my workings. So here they're giving us information and they're telling us that the material there is 25,000. So 25,600 is the cost of indirect material. So the cost of it. And out of this 25,600, they've included something that is for the next accounting year, which is number 4. So I'm gonna minus that because it is what? Something that is for the next accounting year. This is a prepayment. I don't know if it makes sense. So if it's something for the next accounting year, then I have to minus it from this year. You get it. And then usually when we are recording in the factory overhead account, we usually record what has been used for the year. You get it. It's like what has what is yet to be put over to the manufacturing overhead. Sorry, what is meant to be put over to the work in progress account. I don't know. So here they're telling us that a third of the indirect material we use in the factory. Okay, so this means what? It means that the third has already been used. It's out. You get it. What's left over then? So what's left over that is yet to be used, it's 2/3. So 2/3 of this is yet to be used. That is why then I would then say times 2/3. You get it. This will also go straight to be used in the factory production process. I don't know if it makes sense. Obviously, there are two ways that you can do this one, but let me just continue with this way. So then you will say 25,000 600 minus 3,500, and then whatever answer you're getting, which is 22,100, then you'll say times 2 divided by 3, which gives us 14,733 rand. Okay. Alternatively, other people can just say 25,600 to get a 25,600 and then times the 1/3 and then move on to the 3,500 times the 1/3. And then once they have the answer there, then they minus the 2, which is a long way, honestly speaking. Okay, so I had to minus the 3,500 because it has nothing to do with this, but it has already been included on the entire portion there. So we had to minus it first before we can do the 2/3. I hope this makes sense. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste it on the other side. Okay, so indirect material. This is my answer here. Paste without formatting, and then 14,733. Okay, done with this one, which means that I can move on to water and electricity. Okay, so water and electricity here, let me highlight that. It's part of my indirect, so I'm going to give it the same color. So water and electricity, they say it amounts to 10,290. And then they're telling us that this is shared in a ratio of 2:1 between the factory administrative selling departments. Okay, so this basically means what? It means that two is for the factory. The rest of the other ones, whereby you say 2 + 1 + 1 gives you 4, is for the whole parts. I don't know if it makes sense. So the whole building is 4 parts, but the 4 parts are divided according to factory, administrative office, and the selling department. You get it? So the 2/4 will give me exactly what I'm looking for the factory. So then I'll times it by what? Times it by the 10,290, which will give me, let me see on my calculator. So if I say 10,290 times 2/4. So 2/4 is the same as half, I think. Okay, yeah. So times 2 divided by 4. Which gives me 5,145. So I'm going to take this and put it there as part of my workings. Copy. Water and electricity here. So I'm going to put it here as my workings. Paste without formatting. Then 5,145. Okay, put them in brackets. Show your workings, guys. Don't give me the full answer, the final answer with no workings. You get it? Workings have marks. You would miss out a lot of marks by giving final answers, because sometimes it happens that your final answer is not the correct answer. But if you showed me how you got that incorrect answer, you might get marks there. You never know. Okay, let's move on to this one. So now we have salaries and wages. So the salaries and wages, they say salary of factory manager. So factory manager, they don't touch the product directly. And since they don't touch the product directly, they are what? They are overheads, factory overhead. So this will classify them as what? As a factory overhead. So nothing else has been said except for factory manager. So I'm just going to put it there as it is. And let me see, supervisor. Okay, factory manager. I'm just going to put it here as my 150,000. Okay, so we are done with that. And then now I can move on to this one here. So this is another overhead because I can see there's already indirect. So I'm going to use the same color yellow. Okay, and then do the calculations here. Okay, so the calculations here, obviously, they're telling us that indirect wages, they have 8 employees. So 8 employees, then I'll say 8 PP. Okay. Um, yeah, 8 people, yes. So these 8 people, they are getting how much? 35 rand per hour. So casual workers, they mean what? They are not permanent. You get it? So it's not, yeah, it's not a fixed cost per se. Okay, so times 35 rand per hour. So, and then what else are they giving us? They're telling us that they each worked 182 hours so of normal time. So I would then say times 182. So what am I looking for? I'm trying to find out how much of time did they work and how much did they earn while working their normal hours. So times 8 times 35 times 182. And the answer that I'm getting is 50,960. So this is the money that they are getting for working the normal hours for that month or that period. Okay, there's more information that we need to work up with because the sentence continues. The sentence continues and then it says what? It says that 5 of them, so I'm going to say 5 of them, they worked 35 hours. So 35 hours. Okay, and then they say overtime at the normal rate plus 25%. So they worked overtime. So the overtime is 35 hours. But with the overtime, they are paid differently. How are they paid differently? They are paid normal rate. So the normal rate is how much? It's 35 rand per hour, right? 5 rand per hour times what? Times 1.25. Why am I saying 1.25? Is that they are getting paid an extra 25%. So it's up to you how you do this one, 1.25, or you can just say, let me just do it this way, not to confuse you. Times 125 divided by 100. Yes, I think that was fine. So that people are not left confused and asking themselves, like, what's going on? So then this gives me, let me calculate it on my calculator. So if you say 5 times 35 times 35 hours, okay, and then you get 175, then you can say times 35 times 1.5, 1.25. We should be able to get, let me double check my answer to be sure. So 35 rand times 1.25 k times 5 times 35 k. It's the same answer. So I'm getting 7,652 rand 25 cents, obviously, but that has nothing to do with our workings. We don't work with the, yeah. So then I have my direct, indirect wages there in my factory overhead account. So I'm just going to paste it as it is. Okay, so this means that I can do my workings here now. 50,000, 960, 50,960 plus 7,656. Okay, I am getting 58,616. Okay, so now I am done with the wages. So I can move on to the next account, rent. So here they're giving us information again. They're saying rent expense amount to what is it, to 120,000, which includes rent for July. Okay, so this is very critical because already you can see here. Okay, let me see if I can erase this. Okay, so you can see that in that information that they're telling us that this would we paid more than what we're supposed to pay. We paid for the next accounting year. You get it? We paid, remember our accounting year. Let's check there at the top. Just want to double check here. They say that this information below relates to the financial year ending on the 30th of June 2022. Okay, 30 June 2022. And here we have paid rent for July also. You get it? So the July month is what? It's an extra month. So they're telling us that in the 120, it's also including what? It's also including the extra month. So how am I gonna like find out how much is for this 12 months? All I'm gonna do is that what am I looking for? I'm looking for the value for the 12 months. So I'm gonna say 12 divided by what I have. What is it that I have? I have been given a value with which is 13 months. It includes an extra month. So say divide by what I have, which is 13 months. And just by putting that in your calculator, you should be able to figure out um what is it? How much is it per month? So 120,000 times 12 divided by 13. And I get 110,769. Yes, for 12 months. Sorry. Yeah. So this is for the 12-month period. Okay. Am I done with this question? No, I'm not done with the question. So I have to now figure out then how much of this rent is for the factory. So the information continues and say rent is proportionally allocated to the various departments according to floor spaces occupied. So the floor space for the factory is 850 meters squared. Administrative office is what is it? Is 150 meters squared. Sales department is a 50 meters squared. So already I should be in a good position to work out then how much is the floor space in total. So floor space in total, I can say 850 plus 150 plus 50, and then I should be able to get let me see, 900, 1000. So it's 1050 meters squared total. So that's the total sum. So for me to continue with my working here, I will have to say the rent for the whole building. Okay, rent for the whole building multiplied by factory. Factory is 850 divided by the total parts, which is 1050. And just by doing that in my calculator, let me see, times, okay, my answer multiplied by 850 divided by 1050. I should be able to get 89,670. So this is what is the factory space. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it and put it in my workings for the rent for factory. Paste without formatting. Close brackets. Okay, so this working, then I will put in the answer here, 89,670. Okay, and just by this, I am done with my factory overhead account, which means that then I can just add my debit side. So if I'm adding my debit side, let's see. So 14,733 plus 58,616 plus 89,670, and then 5,145, 150 there at the end. I get 318,164, which means that that will be my total for both sides. Okay, so this amount then will go straight to my work in progress. So I'll put it there as well, 318,164. Okay, let me see if I can just make things easier for myself and then just copy and paste. Okay, you can't copy and paste when you're writing by hand. Sorry. Okay, so this amount, I would then go to my work in progress. So on my work in progress on the debit side, I will put it there. So work in progress. Don't forget, guys, the work in progress account, it's always fixed. You get it? It's always like, it looks like this. On the debit side, it has your opening balance and then it has the three accounts: direct material, direct labor, work in progress. So it's like a final account. That's where you put in your final totals from the other accounts. So in this case here, I have put in my work in progress here of 100 and like 318,164. Okay, I just want to double check the other one. Just looks okay. I'm just going to check this again just one more time. Copy. And then just want to see here. Okay, doesn't make any difference. Okay. Any case. So this is the information that I have. This work in progress T account already had an opening balance and a closing balance. So it makes things so much easier because now I have my direct material and I have my work in progress. So I'm in a better position to close off this account, which means that I just have to add my debit side. So adding my debit side, I'll say 350,000 there at the top plus 31,500 plus 88,000 that was given for direct labor, and then plus my 318,164 that I calculated. And this means that the total for this account is 787 664. So remember, guys, you pause the video and you work out the calculation on your side before you can continue, which also means that this is what I am getting here. So now with this, then it's easy for me to get my finished goods. To get the finished goods, I will say this 787,664 minus the closing balance of 180,000. So minus 180,000. Then I get 607,664. Okay, so then it means what? It means this is my account here for finished goods. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the finished goods account. So copy this, and then in my finished goods, it will be on my debit side. Again, this is another account that doesn't change, will always be exactly like how it looks like. Okay, my work in progress, I put in that account, that amount. Okay, so now here, I'm going to do this because I have to explain it. So now we are on the cost of sales side. So the tricky thing with this information, or rather for this activity, is that we are not given the closing balance. The balance carried down has not been provided to us. And since it has not been provided to us, then it means what? It means that we have to look at the information that has been given to us and see if we can still find a way to calculate the finished goods, the cost of sales, or the closing balance. So usually if it happens that maybe one of the balances has not been given to you, I always advise you to look at the sales value and look at the markup value and see if you cannot work out the cost of sales using that information. So here I see we are given the sales value. So the sales value here is 1 million. Okay, let me see if I can just do this. 1,580,600. Okay, I'm just going to put it there as doing my working. 1,580,600. Okay, so we're gonna look at the markup. How much is the markup that has been given to us? So I'm going back at the top, and there is information there. They say the business has a 35% markup. So 35% markup. So for us to figure out the cost of these sales that we have been given, we're going to use the markup. So always what you are looking for will always be at the top. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for the original 100% value, the cost price. As we know that the cost will always be equal to 100%. I will divide it by what? I will divide it by 135. You get it. So the 135, where is it coming from? Basically, we're saying the cost is 100% plus what? The 35% that has been added as a markup to get the selling price. So that divided by that, let me calculate it on my calculator on my side. So 1,580,600 multiplied by 100 divided by 135. I get 1,170,814. It's actually 815 because there are decimals in the final answer. So this is what I'm getting, and that is my cost of sales. So that cost of sales is what I am going to put in my account here for the finished goods. Paste without formatting. Okay, and then I am putting the answer 1,170,815 on my credit side. So this leaves me with something that looks like this. Okay, obviously I haven't put, okay, I'm going to do that at the end. Okay, so now I am in a good position to close off the account. So how do we close off this account? Obviously my debit side is bigger. So it means what? I will close off my debit side. I'll say 950,000 plus 607,664. You pause the video and you find out if you can work out what I worked out on your side. Don't just take things. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to just ask them. Okay. So then it means what? My debit must always be the same as my credit side. And then this is what I have here. So now I can do what? I can work out the balance, closing balance there. So how do I get my closing balance? Obviously, then I'll just minus the two here. And then if I minus the 1,557,000 with the 1,170,815, I get 386,849. Okay, so this looks like this. And just by doing this, you can easily get 100% for this. Okay, so what I said I will do last is that I didn't include the dates here, which are usually critical. So here it should have been, they say the accounting year ends on that. Just want to double check that at the top. Okay. Okay, let me double check on my information that has been given to me. So here they say the year ends on the 30th of June 2022, which means that this accounting year starts on the 1st of July. So July, and then here it's 1st. Okay, 1st July, and then it ends when? It ends on the 30th, 2022, June 30. And just by doing this, you are done with the activity. So I just wanted to show something, but it's okay. My memo did it differently, and they mix up a few things there, such as the opening balances. The opening balances are not the same; they just did it differently. But this is how you are supposed to do this account. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, thank you so much. That's it from me.